Hi there, my name's Elizabeth and I like to sew smart. This will be my last video from my temporary sewing room, as I'm soon moving in a few days time into a more permanent one. But there is still time to make another little project before Christmas, either to keep for yourself or to give away. So join me now and I'll show you what it is. It's a placemat with a matching coaster. The difference is the coaster is made by folding fabrics on the top and just backed with an ordinary piece of fabric with a little piece of wadding in between, and the placemat has a pocket done the same way to hold your knife, your spoon and your fork and your napkin, and it's very easy. You can back with whatever you have, of course, but I've just done it in a green and a spot. You could still use traditional Christmas colours though. You have plenty of time, it doesn't take long. For the placemat you will need a top fabric 12 inches by 17, backing fabric, which I've got the spot, slightly bigger all the way around because when you've quilted it you will need to cut it back, and wadding to go in between these two, slightly bigger again. I'm using scrap wadding, so use out of your cupboard, ladies, if you can, because it's much cheaper. For the top, which is this folded effect on your coaster and on the pocket, you will need 5-inch squares of the dark fabric. 4 of those you will fold in half and press. The same with the spot, you will need 5-inch squares, fold 4 and press in half, and then you'll need 2 strips. Now it actually takes 1.5 strips, so if you've got 1.5 strips of something, do use that. 2.5 inches wide, fold it in half for your binding, and 1 5-inch square, a cut-off piece for the coaster. The 1 5-inch square that isn't folded is going to be the back of the coaster. So lay down the piece of thing on there, lay the wadding down to get the folded effect. Take the dark pressed in half square, put 1, I'll actually put them that way, it's easy for you to see, 1 across there, making sure the fold is meeting in the middle, 1 there, and then you are going to put, with a fold in the middle, the paler one on the top, flip this up, tuck it underneath, and then on the other side you don't want this one to be in the bottom corner, so you're going to lay that down there, lift this one up, flip that one underneath, just push them in tight, takes a little bit of fiddling around, and that is the top of your coaster. So I'm going to stitch around the edge there, pin and stitch around the edge. You can use a little bit of adhesive, spray on adhesive underneath each one that you've folded over, that can help. Then the back will go on. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So I have stitched using a 1/8, well, very scant 1/8 all the way around, securing my folded pieces onto the wadding. What I'm going to do now is, with right sides together, put the backing on, and I'm going to leave a gap for turning. That was my pen running out. I'm going to leave a gap for turning. Can't see that very clearly, but I can see it. So about 1.5 inches here. I'm going to 1/4 inch stitch all the way around, leaving that gap open for turning. Clip the corners and turn the right side out. I've turned the coaster inside out. I snipped the corners, so you can see now I'm left there with the gap. I'm now going to stitch 1/8 inch all the way around on the top here, and it will catch this opening in just nicely because it's a 1/4 inch, so it will catch that in really nicely all the way around, and then my coaster is complete. So the coaster is now finished. That was the first one that I showed you. This one is exactly the same, all finished off. You could stitch on the top if you wanted, but I like to leave the little fold open. I think that's really a nice effect from it. Now for the pocket, you're going to make up the pocket. but as you can see the pocket is much narrower than the 5-inch square, so I'm going to have to take, it's actually the pocket is exactly, it finishes up at 4 inches, so I need to take ½ inch off both sides. Now it doesn't matter that this square is a little bit less than that square or oblong, it makes no difference at all. And the pocket on the inside has got the pale lining. So what I've done, I've laid the pieces out exactly the same, but because I'm not putting them onto any backing, they're just loose, I've put a little adhesive spray there to hold them together. I'm now going to trim these back to 4 inches. I'm going to take ½ inch off there and ½ inch off there, and then I will take an inch off there to make it 4 inches, and then I will put the top on again. I'll show you this first though. I'm going to take an inch off, but I have to take it off both sides, so I'm going to take it off ½ inch. Make sure I've lined that up quite right. Doesn't matter if you're a little bit out, they are the same size, it's just sometimes you get them a bit different. So I'm going to take ½ inch, line that up, and take ½ inch off there. Oops, daisy. And I'm going to take ½ inch off that side. Oops, daisy. I think I need a new cutter blade. So there you go, ½ inch off there. But this 5-inch square is now too wide, so I will take 1 inch exactly, push that there, 1 inch off this to make it 4. I do need a new blade, ladies, so I'll put one on very shortly. And then right sides together, I am going to stitch. Now this only needs to be stitched on 2 sides because this mustn't be a raw edge. The raw edges can go underneath the binding, but not here. So I'm going to put the top on, right side together, pin it and stitch across there on the top and down that side, which is there on the top and down that side. Turn it the right way out and just top stitch that line of stitching that you've just done. My little pocket is finished. That's the same as the other pocket. So it's going to be stitched onto the corner of the top fabric. Just stitch it on. But before I put it on, I have cut back my backing fabric and wadding just to a nice space all the way around, and I've drawn some quilting lines on. Now I've done halfway across there, halfway across the short side, and then just half again. Very simple straight quilting. I will stitch this onto the corner then when before I quilt, stitch that on there, and then once I've quilted I will trim it back all the way around to the top fabric. So I've quilted, stitched on the pocket, sewn around the edge just 1/8 of an inch. There's your nice little pocket. And I did actually just stitch across the dark side there just to hold that down because you're putting long utensils in. And all that remains to do now, it's quilted, is put on my binding, and then it's finished. So I've stitched on my binding, catching in my pocket all the way around. I've slipped the cutlery and the little napkin in so you can see it, makes it nice and neat and tidy. It now matches the other one that I'd done earlier. And for the binding, I just tell you that it takes 3 strips of 2.5 inch binding to go around 2 mats, so you know how much you're going to use. And this was all I had left of 3 strips. So just to give you an idea, 2 coasters all ready to go, and I think that's a very acceptable gift that you can still have time to make before Christmas. And if you've enjoyed this video, then give us a thumbs up and subscribe, because it really does help and it encourages me to keep going as well. And I will see you after Christmas with something new. But if you would like to make this now before Christmas and you've got time, visit my Etsy shop because all my patterns are in there, including this one. And I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a great thanks to all my subscribers and a Happy New Year.